Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Today I want to talk about exceptions to the rule with Filipinas. And this is a comment on my channel about marriage to a woman from the Philippines. Please subscribe and leave a comment to this video. The video I made was called Don't Be Too Quick to Block a Filipina Over Money. And I wanted to highlight this comment from Paul, who is a regular, commenter on the channel. Because there's something I wanted to point out about this. And his comment was about bloggers making blanket rules, not considering individual cases. And they said they had previously refused to give money to other Filipinas until they found the one they knew they would marry. And they had refused more attractive Filipinas than her. But when they understood she had all the ingredients of the woman they wanted, such as sincerity, transparency, and the fact that he could empathize with her like few others, and the fact that the need was real, he sent her money within the first week and continued sending her money over the next 2 years until the COVID pandemic ended and they could be together, and they are married now. And so I wanted to continue there. The only thing that you got right was that we need to use discernment, and that's not hard because you can easily tell what kind of woman she is. So now we've been married for more than a year and everything has turned out well. So I need to talk about some things about this exception to the rule regarding Filipinas. Now, when you make titles about videos, you can't just focus on the exceptions, because the exceptions are few and far between. So when you're talking about giving money to a woman from thousands of miles away, the general rule is don't do that. I would say don't do that until you meet her in person and you've gone the thousands of miles in the Philippines to be with her. And people usually talk in, focusing on what happens most of the time. The outliers are outliers, and we know they're going to happen, but they're not real common. So I'm glad that it worked out for this man. But again, I still don't think you should send them any money, and I don't think the Filipinos should be asking for money that soon. That's just wise advice. Saying no before meeting is a good way to find out if the Filipino is going to be a good one or not. That's not the way that he chose to do it. But I think he was fortunate that it worked out that way, because men don't want to lose money and get taken advantage of. That's why I say don't send anything until you have met in person. All these women need money if they're talking to a foreigner, or they wouldn't be talking to a foreigner. And I think most men consider sending money. It's just a good way to help the Filipina. And if he wants to avoid getting taken advantage of, it's best not to put himself in that situation. A lot of women are asking for money right away for this or that, and they all need it. And men have been burned many, many times. That's why I keep saying, don't do that. When I met my wife in Christian Filipina, the website said, do not send money to any of these women until you have met in person. And that's just good, sound advice from someone whose wife was also a Filipina. And again, I know he felt that, like many men, that they know this woman early on, but I think you only know what you know within a week or two. And Filipinas are good at, some of them are good at lying to you and putting on a show. I'm not saying that his wife did that. They're already married, but a lot of them do. I know guys, I've read many of their accounts on how they got scammed. And, well, I've never heard any of them really take responsibility for getting scammed and for missing red flags, but they got taken advantage of. They probably didn't know they were going to get taken advantage of. They probably thought they knew something about this woman. It's okay to send her some money. I trust her. She sounds like everything I want. And that's real easy to do from thousands of miles away. But that's just really, really rolling the dice. A lot of guys have said, I know her. I know she loves me. I know this and that. And they don't, but the men are fooled, and Filipinas are very good at fooling Western men. And Western men are very easy at getting duped. My wife tells me that. You foreigners are so easy to fool. And well, she's right. She's from the Philippines. She knows the lay of the land. My relationship with her was an exception, which is why I told people, don't do what I did. Don't do what I did. It's an exception. I married my wife in 54 days, proposed to her on day 18 from 9,800 flight miles away. Now, we've been married 9 years, coming up on 9 years, but would I tell anybody else to do that? No, I would tell them not to do that, because I had many, many, many years, decades, to learn about marriage and relationships, and a little bit of time to learn about the Philippines, but not much when we got married. But I felt prepared. And I knew I had a woman that wanted to get married to me that quickly. And obviously in these relationships, you put in a certain amount of trust that they are who they say they are, and their situation is what they say it is, although often it isn't. Okay? It takes more time to find out. With my wife, I knew generally what kind of character she had, and that was good enough for me to want to marry her right away, and it's worked out. But my wife wasn't asking me for money, even if she needed it. She wouldn't ask me. Why? Because that's not my problem. That's not my job. I'm some guy here in the United States, and I'm not an ATM for her or any other Filipina, and she wouldn't ask. She just wouldn't. Now, if I say, I want to marry you, take care of you for the rest of your life, bring you here to America, and love you, provide for you, be your companion and protector, well, that's different. If I really mean that, then I get down to the Philippines and I ask her to marry me. Or I ask her to marry me before I go to the Philippines, then go to the Philippines, and we get married. And I come back a married man, and then a number of months later, at that time, about 8 months, we're together here in the United States since 2016. But that was an exception, very much an exception. So please don't go out and do what I did, because the situation and circumstances between the man and the woman are not exactly the same. And I still say, don't give a woman from the Philippines money within the first week, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6. Be better to go meet her first, see how things are. Now, for this writer, or his name is Paul, I'm happy for him that he got married, but I think he must realize many other men had been burned to the crisp doing the same thing. They gave money, it was for naught. They thought they knew the woman, they didn't. I'm glad it worked out. There is a lot of, I wouldn't say gamble, but you do need to pray a lot about marrying somebody from so far away, and I'm sure he did, as well as I did. And I trusted God, and we're still married. So this is just talking about the exception versus the rule. And please leave a comment here on Love Beyond the Sea.